This one is not for the squeamish. This movie is wild. Let's talk about the new Demi Moore film, The Substance. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for The Substance. This stars Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, a great up-and-coming actress, and Dennis Quaid. And I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but there's a lot to unpack here. So before we dive in, let me welcome you back to Dan Reviews It. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much. Always great to have you back on one of my videos. But if you're not, please consider subscribing down below or even click that notification bell. But either way, like this video, comment below, all that stuff does help the channel out. And I think there's a lot to talk about with this video, so I would love to hear from you in the comments if you did check out this movie. So this is already getting some accolades. It competed at Cannes and won the Best Screenplay award in the main competition section. This is a film written and directed by Coralie Farge. And I'm unfamiliar with her. This is only her second feature film. Her first one was a movie called Revenge. But boy, what a way to kind of pop on the scene. This movie's getting talked about by a lot of people. The general plot here is Demi Moore plays this fading celebrity. Her heyday was, maybe 20, 25, 30 years ago. But she's now, 50 or so. And Elizabeth Sparkle is her name, and she has a star on the Walk of Fame. And but at this point in her career, she's sort of been relegated to doing this workout show, and so she gets a mysterious note that is all about this black market drug, which is a cell-replicating substance that will create a temporary, better version, younger version of you, and that is played by Margaret Qualley. But there's obviously a couple of qualifiers there, including that you have to switch back every 7 days. So you'll have 7 days with your younger self, 7 days with the new you. And so there are horrible, horrible side effects, as you might imagine, that come with that. But the Margaret Qualley character becomes kind of a superstar in her own right. And that's probably about all I want to say about the plot. But Dennis Quaid plays the network executive, and he's a misogynist a-hole, and just pretty much every guy in this movie. There's one guy, I guess, that's all right, but every guy pretty much is kind of a jerk, misogynist, creep, sicko, whatever, in this movie. So certainly there are a lot of themes here at play, including what it's like. I would say the biggest overall theme is, sort of what it's like as a woman, not even a famous woman, really. Here we do have a famous woman, but just any woman to get older in this society. It's always sort of been established, oh, well, men, maybe get more distinguished as they get older. Their temples gray a little bit, and they, look more dapper, more distinguished, whereas women, not so much. And that's sort of always been society's, horrible, horrible problem. But so this movie explores that, but it explores a lot of other things, too. It explores celebrity. It explores self-image. There's a lot of things at play here, not just specifically the beauty motif. So boy, oh boy, I kind of went into this thinking this was going to be one of my favorites of the year. I mean, it's been getting rave reviews. I have to say I was a little bit disappointed with this movie, and let's start there. Let's kind of talk about the negatives and then wrap on the positives, because there are many. This is going to be a positive grade, but I expected it kind of to be more like in the A range, and it doesn't quite make it there for me. And this concept of wanting to be beautiful is certainly not new. In fact, there's a brand new Netflix movie that I'm going to review soon called Uglies that is much, much worse than this movie in every single way. But some of the principal concepts actually are rather similar. So, all right. So the negatives here, for one thing, this movie actually goes on too long. I thought there was a wonderful part to end it, and it goes on another like 15 minutes or so, and gets into the some of the really silly, over the top, satirical kind of horror stuff that it was fine. I mean, but this movie is so intense with the gore already. Like I'm a squeamish dude. So I had to definitely like watch some of the movie like this and just kind of listen to the nasty sort of medical sounds. And even with that, I don't want to go into detail about what, but like it's very sort of Cronenberg-esque with the body horror type stuff. And kind of the body gore. Lot of needles at action here. But the last like 15 minutes, I didn't think added anything to the story. I thought there was a perfect way to say, okay, cut the end. All of the points of this movie had already been made. We got it. I don't think we needed to have that last part. I think it definitely affected my grade a little bit. I've long said that an ending to a movie can sometimes make or break that film. This one didn't break it entirely, but it definitely dropped the grade a little bit for me because I thought it was very unnecessary. And the two people I saw it with both agreed. We were all like, "Why? That last portion didn't need to be there, right?" And it takes it in a slightly different direction, a more perhaps comical direction, a more over the top direction. But the movie is already satirical. It's already kind of over the top with some of its themes and its concepts. It just was unnecessary at the end there. So, all right, that is probably the biggest negative I have about the movie. And then there's just some plot holes. There's a fair amount of things that really don't make sense about this movie. So, without going into details about the plot, that's kind of all I'll say about that. So those are kind of the two main negatives for this movie. But let's talk about the positives. The acting is the easiest thing to start with. Demi Moore, look, the Academy doesn't typically like movies like this. I think they find them disgusting, disturbing, but you know what? Poor Things, definitely had some intense, maybe not scenes of gore like this, but Poor Things is sort of an outlier, I think. But if a movie like that can win some awards, Emma Stone won for Best Actress. I think there's no reason that Demi Moore cannot at least be in the conversation for her performance here. I mean, talk about fearless. I was trying to think, but while the movie was going on, I was like, is this the best female performance I've seen all year? I think it is. I mean, I can't think of anything that is a better acting performance this year, certainly from an actress. Maybe, I mean, Coleman Domingo, pretty great in Sing Sing, but boy, oh boy, this is a fearless performance from a talented actress. Like, this is the perfect role for her, and she is the perfect person to play this role. Because, look, Demi Moore has, for all intents and purposes, been out of the major motion picture spotlight for a while. But when we think about some of the great movies of the 80s and early 90s, the Brat Pack films, she is at the center of a lot of those. Ghost is one of my favorite movies of all time. But you had a big run in the 90s, Indecent Proposal and Striptease, and of course, her run in the 80s. But speaking of striptease, talk about fearless. There is full frontal nudity here from both Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, which is something that we've been seeing a little more of lately. And, that term fearless, kind of keeps coming up. But I think it is. If you're an A-list star, you don't have to do full frontal nudity, but if it serves the character, we've seen it in the last year or two, Emma Stone, certainly in Poor Things, and, Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings, which was a comedy, but she did it. And, I have to respect that. So that, and there's a lot of nudity in this movie, much like, Emma Stone in Poor Things. And I didn't see Kinds of Kindness, but I think I heard she was naked in that too. But, and speaking of, Margaret Qualley, she was in Poor Things, as well. Up and coming actress for sure. If you saw the Netflix series Made, you know how talented she is already. But boy, she could easily get a supporting actress nomination. She is fantastic here. So the acting just top notch. for sure. I hope we do see some awards love coming their way for that. But the other things, in the positive column, just the themes and everything, sure, great. The plot, even though there are some plot points that I don't think quite made sense, like I mentioned, but they are doing a lot with the ideas here and the plot, and just the look of this movie, the color schemes being used, and the set design and all of that stuff is really, really adding to the atmosphere of this movie. And I thought that was fantastic. And I think maybe best of all, I mean, Demi Moore's performance is great, but I think that there is a lock for the Oscar for best makeup and hairstyling here. The makeup is just, I mean, it is so good. My one of my buddies that I saw it with turned to me and said, "Boy, this makeup is excellent." And I said, "If this does not win the best makeup Oscar, I don't know what's going on." I mean, it's all practical, and it looks phenomenal. I mean, they've done so much with sort of I don't even want to get into it, but let's just pause on that because I don't want to spoil anything. But the makeup job is fantastic throughout the film, so that is another positive. The only slight negative I have is that they were doing a lot of sort of metaphors here, and for example, Dennis Quaid, the jerk, is puffing on a cigarette, and they do a close up of his mouth, sort of puckering, and it looks like an a-hole. And okay, there's some things like that that I thought were cute a little bit, but then it just kind of kept going, and so I think that was a little overkill. So look, overall, this movie, unfortunately, is a little bit of a mixed bag for me, and I certainly am not taking away points because of the gore factor. It went along with the theme. Just because I had to go like this, means it's probably more well done, than not, because it's effective, right? But I think it goes on too long. All of the negatives I mentioned do hamper it a little bit, but boy, oh boy, the acting here, I hope that we see some of this love at the Oscars. And I really hope this kind of reinvigorates Demi Moore's career. She was certainly one of the standouts in the documentary Bratz earlier this year, just as herself kind of talking. She's a lovely person, and inside and out. And I want to see her in more things, and hopefully this will kind of jumpstart that. And Dennis Quaid, he's been in a lot of stinkers lately. I mean, just about every Dennis Quaid movie in the last 5 years has been terrible. I won't even bother seeing Reagan, because F that guy. But it's nice to see Dennis Quaid, and he's doing a typical a-hole role. He's not necessarily stretching his acting chops like the other women, but it's nice to see him in a good movie for once. So look, overall, I believe The Substance with a B, but I think it will stick with you for sure, but not for the squeamish, like I said. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.